Welcome to Squatch-D where the truth is first before all else. Join your hosts, veteran investigator, TV personality, and author Steve Kulls, and from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project and the Kentucky Fried Fixes channel, Chris Bennett. Sit back and prepare to take yourself on a journey with the longest-running Bigfoot podcast, Squatch-D. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D for today's date, February 26, 2025. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective Steve Kulls, along with my co-host right down there, Mr. Chris Bennett. Hello, Chris.
Steve, man, I think spring has hit Kentucky, dude. We had like some 70-degree weather today, 70-something. I don't know. I didn't look at the temperature, but I walked outside without a winter coat on for the first time. And just if you recall, just last week we had like 5-degree single-digit temperatures.
Yeah,
wow, that's a big change, man. I hope you guys are getting some of this warm weather up there.
Well, we're in the fort. We got up to like 46 degrees today, so that was warm for us for this time of year.
Oh yeah, I was praying for that when we had those single digits.
Yep. And just think, 1 week from Sunday, the clocks.
Oh yeah,
Sunday, the clocks go ahead.
Spring forward, that's right.
Spring forward, that's right. Fall back, spring forward. And so that means one thing: spring is coming. And I got to say, Monday, I suffer a lot from insomnia. So, and I apologize for not having a show Sunday, but my insomnia caught up to me, and when I woke, and my wife dragged me out. We had to go shopping. And when I got back, I ate my dinner. And I said, I'm just going to take like an hour snooze, and ended up being a 2 hour, 45-minute snooze. And I woke up 8:15 without having to do one thing for the show yet.
Well, that's, hey, man, everybody's got to rest, get a little rest.
So that's the reason why we didn't have a show. So my apologies to everybody for that. But one of the interesting things is I got up at 5 yesterday morning, and I heard birds chirping, and that's a surefire sign that spring is getting closer.
Good.
So
they weren't sneezing or anything. We didn't no bird flu or anything.
No.
Good.
Yeah, why do they call it the bird flu when it only affects chickens? Shouldn't they call it the chicken flu?
I don't know. You would think so. I mean, according to that, the wild birds had it, and then they transferred it to the chickens somehow. I don't know. But,
what happens when they leave, stuff on the ground? Chicken.
Yeah. But most of the times, chickens are like kept inside, especially the egg-laying chickens. They're kept inside. I wonder how a wild bird got in there.
Well, one comes home with the bird flu and everybody else gets it,
Evidently.
Kind of like a nursing home for birds. It's the rest home. They all sit around, they get around they get around the card tables and they give it to one another.
Well, I hope they can do something so that, we can get some decent price eggs. I'm tired of having to take out a mortgage every time I buy a dozen eggs.
I think the actual cause was they actually got a visit from a Cornish hen.
Okay.
So, why is it every week or so we end up getting off topic and talking about, our favorite topic?
Well, I could deal without eggs. I can live without eggs just fine. But, Sandy loves to have like a boiled egg or a fried egg on top of rice with, she'll make chicken rice or some kind of stuff and have a fried egg with it. I don't know why. The Thai people, they're crazy. They eat stuff like that. Or she'll have a bowl of noodles, which, you know, is kind of like rice noodles, but it's kind of like ramen noodles to me, you know, looks like that. And she'll have, like, you know, chicken seasoning or whatever in there and some chicken.
So what you're saying is Sandy's been secretly feeding you ramen noodles for dinner. While you're off doing your thing, she's out there getting the pack out of the thing going.
No, because I'm having like pizza or a hamburger and fries, and then she fixes her some ramen noodles with some shrimp or them, you know, rice noodles, whatever, with some shrimp or something in there. That's not for me, man.
Well, you know, old her, you know, to her, you got to understand culturally to her, that's comfort food.
Yeah, rice too. You know, rice. Before she came, I probably didn't eat maybe, you know, one bowl of rice every 5 years.
Of course, you know what the Squatch Detective, the Squatch Detective's comfort food is, right?
What's that?
Seconds
and thirds. But yeah, you know, once I think rice is an acquired thing. Once you start eating, it's like you gotta have it. You know, it's something that takes you about it. Oh yeah,
I've had plenty of rice in my day. And like,
oh yeah, oh no, you got to have it with your meal. It's addictive.
No, you know what's addicting to me? Roasted potatoes.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Anyway.
All right, what we got? Hey, we got to do the roll call.
We're getting to it. We're letting folks amble on in.
All right, guys. We just once we start talking about food and stuff, you know.
And then we're going to do the roll call. Then we're going to do a quick editorial on the website update, and then we're going to talk about, you know, and this caused a controversy with one of our former regular listeners before about JW Burns. Well, we got the skinny on JW here, and it's quite revealing for those who don't know. And anyway, so first in tonight was Mitch Hargrove. Hello, Mitch. You're first tonight. Mick is in the house as well. Mick and the Meatloaf. Don Gumau Jr. Hello. Sharon's going to check us out. I think she says, have a great show, guy. Walter Kroll. Hello. Grant Rasha, if he's still awake, because he was pretty wiped out for doing some stuff today, like I was Sunday night. Karen Fisher, good to see you. Roy Longley, representing the lurkers out there, lurking on a Wednesday. And Sandra Piper's in the house. Jen, how are you? I'm sure Baron is running around too. Bill, finding the trackway. And guess what, Chris? We're going to supersede that show I set up this morning. We're gonna have hopefully Bill and Jen on this Sunday night, because there's some stuff we want to go over. And in case anybody hasn't checked it out, go over to Finding the Trackway's YouTube channel and check out his new video. That'll give you some insight to what's going on. Anyway, Robert Dentuvin, you're in the house. Good to see you. Boris Kahn, Goonie Goo Goo. And of course, we already said Sandra Piper. Ron Meldrum, there's Ron. Good to see you, sir.
Welcome.
Outback Orchard, hello.
Welcome.
Long time no see. Good to see you. Can't wait to see you again in Whitehall this year, my friend. And Chris Helton, aka Faster Man, what's happening? The Susie Monster also in the house. Hello, Susie. Good to see you. And who else?
I see. I'm out here to almost
scrolling. Keep them chat logs scrolling. Right. Henry is in the house. Hello, Henry. Good to see you. Angel Nolan, hello. And I think we are caught up.
Yeah, I didn't get lost tonight. I think I scrolled down a little bit too quick. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad to see Henry's in the house. I don't know if that's Henry May. No, that would be something else. But welcome, Henry. Henry's a member. Welcome. And Jen just posted the link to Bill's video. Please leave that for later, because we are live tonight with a lot of information. But in case people have been wondering and noticing, over at squatchdetective.com, the official website of the TV show, and what got all this mess started, I've been doing a little bit of revamping. I put in a new show date, because the Whitehall Sasquatch Calling Festival has been confirmed. And I, once again, for the 5th year in a row, will be emceeing the calling contest. So that'll be really some fun stuff.
A lot of changes had went on at the Squatch Detective website there.
Well, Henry, welcome, sir. Kick your feet up.
Yeah.
Yourself at home. But if you're the last one out, please turn out the lights. And Blake Burrows, good to see you.
Hey, Blake. Welcome, bud.
Yeah, Blake says when I said Henry, I thought you meant Henry May. Now,
Henry, we've got another Henry that comes in here Henry May.
Yep. But Henry usually catches us on the redo.
Yeah. But, oh yeah, check out Henry May's channel too. Yep. Good stuff.
Henry's Crypto Corner.
Crypto Corner. Yeah.
He's been doing that for years too. Me, Sean Forker, Billy Willard to an extent, Eric Altman to an extent. Sean Forker, me, and Henry, we have been podcasting for years. Mm-hmm. So,
Henry started doing the UFO Corner too. HP made UFO Corner. Pretty good. You know, if you like mystery stuff, I kind of like the UFO mystery.
Apparently, Henry likes hanging out on corners. Anyway.
I don't know that one, but I'll have to get to the bottom of it later.
That's right. Anyhow, so if anybody's noticed on the website, I'm kind of toning down the exposing hoaxer stuff, although we're still doing it. The main focus going forward right now, for now, is the science and research and articles and historical articles about Bigfoot. We're going to focus more on the positive side of things than necessarily on the negative. Doesn't mean that I'm still not going to be calling out baloney when I see baloney.
Right.
But the focus is not, let's face it, for the last 20 years now, I have been calling out hoaxers. And I've been calling out pseudoscience. And for some reason, that's what stuck. Although people have completely forgotten about the primate behavior stuff and my experiences and everything like that. So we're going to kind of stick to the science a bit.
Well, you did change the 5 tenets of Bigfoot research when you did your update on this.
Yeah, the 5 tenets have changed. The only one that's really changed is the 5th one. Instead of saying expose the charlatans, it says be fearless. Yeah. And being fearless means, exposing hoaxers when you need to, exposing pseudoscience when you need to, right. And basically engaging in with creative discussion with skeptics and people with alternative theories. Yeah. So in other words, I'm not trying to put anybody down. I'm not trying to, right. But one of the shows we got lined up is going to be the debunking show. And that one is wow. I put that together and I'm really impressed with myself. Because it takes down every aspect. It takes down every aspect.
Yeah.
Of Greg Long's book, The Making of Bigfoot. Takes it down piece by piece. We tear it right down to the ground. So, in fact, when we get done with it, and we get done with Hieronymus's baloney and Miller's baloney and Cal Corp's baloney, all you're going to see is a big hole in the ground from where that house was built. There ain't going to be nothing left. But for some time, we've been talking about J.W. Burns, a.k.a. John Walter Burns was his actual real name, John Walter Burns. And just to give you a little background on Mr. Burns, not only was he on The Simpsons, but he was an Irish expatriate who moved to British Columbia and took up the roles of an Indian agent and school teacher at the Chehalis Indian Reserve near the Harrison River. This position, held around 1925, placed him in close contact with the Chehalis First Nation, a Coast Salish people with deep-rooted oral traditions. Burns quickly learned the respect of the local community, particularly forming a close friendship with Frank Dan, in relation to Leonard Dan, a prominent Chehalis medicine man, due to his open-mindedness toward their myths and legends. So we will be getting more into that as we break down.
Well, he looks like Mr. Burns, except he's got more hair.
Yes, dithers. Anyway. Well, he's a little bit younger there.
Yeah.
Now, in 1929, Burns completed and published an article in the April 1st issue of Maclean's magazine titled Introducing BC's Hairy Giants, a collection of strange tales about British Columbia's wild men as told by those who say they have seen them. This article detailed accounts from the Chehalis people of wild, hairy giants inhabiting the forest surrounding the reserve, creatures they had known since time forever. Burns' work is often credited with popularizing the term Sasquatch, an anglicization of the Halcomelum word Sasquatch, meaning hairy man, used by the Salish people. This publication marked a pivotal moment, transitioning Sasquatch from a local indigenous narrative to a broader cultural phenomenon.
That's the thing. I wonder if the pronunciation of it in the native language sounded similar to Sasquatch.
Right. Could be. So let's talk a little bit Burns, and then we're going to talk about the controversy afterwards. Burns's article, considered one of the earliest written accounts that brought the Sasquatch legend to public attention, predating many modern sightings and research efforts. His work laid the groundwork for subsequent interest, influencing figures like John Green, Rene Dahinden, who became key researchers in the 20th century.
Hey, Steve.
Yep.
Burns was also a government spy. He was supposed to be reporting on the First Nations activity.
In my research, there was no reference to that. That may have been rumor. But Indian agents often did report into the government. That would be the whole idea, Indian agent, would it be?
Yeah. What'd you do today? 5 things. Shut up. My bad. Okay. So Indian agents probably
and now a word from our sponsors.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready! Okay.
Okay, I'll shut up. Go ahead.
Excuse me, bartender. Can I have a little in this, please? Anyway.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
So, a lot of people have seen the article, but has anybody read it? So let me read the article to folks to understand. Let's break it down. Because really it's too vast, as you can see. The actual PDF of it is very hard to read. And I find that reading older periodicals that are scanned are very hard to read. They use funky looking fonts back then. And, those are the people that, I'm sorry, we live in a totally different world now. We don't sit around a lot of times and read articles. We watch a YouTube video or a clip or a news clip or whatever. So
I still do a lot of reading, but when you blow up the article because it's so old and decrepit, it's like, the parts of the text are missing. So it's really hard to see.
I stand fast on, I'm not the old part, but decrepit maybe. Okay, so here we are. So introducing BC's Hairy Giants, and by J.W. Burns. are the vast mountain solitudes of British Columbia, which few white men have ever penetrated, really populated by a hairy race of giants, fearful and awesome to behold, who never speak and who vanish with uncanny swiftness, leaving only footprints to mark their passing? Sounds familiar. Reports from time to time, covering a period of many years, have come from hunters, trappers, and others who claim to have caught glimpses of these strange creatures, so many indeed, that there is no doubt in the minds of those who have studied the matter that the wild men do exist. But what are they? And that's interesting. Okay, let's think about what he just said. And others who claim to have, or rather, so many, there so many indeed, that there is no doubt in the minds of those who have studied the matter of the wild men.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So Bigfoot research has been going on long before the 50s, because this is an article written in early, beginning of the second quarter of 1929. So that's a very interesting statement in of itself. Some say they are a tribe of Indians who chose to live apart from their fellows, cladding themselves in skins and hiding in caves and secret fastness. Others hold that they are survivors of a prehistoric race of cavemen who once roamed the continent and retreated to the highest mountains when more powerful tribes appeared. Still others believe that they may be entirely distinct, neither animal nor yet human, but something midway between. Now, let's break that down for a second.
Reasonable theories there, you know.
Huh?
That was reasonable theories that he proposed.
Well, let's think about this. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. Who once roamed the continent and retreated to the highest mountains when more powerful tribes appear.
Right.
So here is this species that when Homo sapiens decided to show up, they disappeared.
Right.
So is it possible that the ancestors of our modern day Sasquatch were here prior to the Homo sapiens arrival?
Possible.
Right? Because we always find a smattering of truth in a lot of the Native American legends. Neither animal nor yet human, but something midway in between. And isn't the most biggest debate we have today? Well, they look like more gorilla, they look more pongid to me, or they look more, hominin to me. Right.
Martin says just like the Hobbit, yeah, just like the Homo floresiensis.
Right.
They were there before the full size guys.
So let's think about this. And he's saying, and neither animal nor yet human, but something midway in between, and that is something we constantly argue about here. In the Bigfoot community, some people, it's not an ape. Well, technically, Homo sapiens are great apes too, so that's an incorrect statement. But, where they fall on the branch of primatology is still up for debate. Is it Ardipithecine? Is it Australopithecine? Is it Homo sapien, or, a homogeneous creature, or maybe even Paranthropus, which is supposed to have died out? So that is, very relevant. So everything here rings true to this day so far. The Indians of the Chehalis district on the Fraser River tell me that these hairy giants are called Sasquatch, and that they have always lived in the mountains. Again, living in mountain ranges. That's
right. They
rarely show themselves and seldom molest the Indians. Okay, very true too. Although stories of women and children have been carried off persist. So we still have that continuous story of them being carried off.
Right.
The Indians, ordinarily reticent in such matters, speak with a note of awe when they refer to the Sasquatch and watch their children carefully when they may stray far from home. And hence that whole legend of a, very
Right.
legend of them. Yeah. So the next section of the article is called Peter's Encounter with the Giant. One evening in the month of May, while walking along a trail, an Indian named Peter says that he saw one of these creatures lying asleep by the side of a fallen log. Curious, Peter crept closer for a better look. The man, and that's in quotes, who wore no clothing other than a small piece of skin about his loins. Now see,
Loincloth. Wow.
was huge in stature and his body covered with hair. Just then, he awoke, sprang to his feet with amazing agility, and vanished into the timber. So, here's a very interesting thing.
Well, remember Eric Beckchard said they wore clothes too.
Well, the other thing too is, could the adding of the loincloth be done for almost like a censorship type of coverage? Because having a man sitting there naked could be considered in 1929 kind of risque.
You think he could have added that he had a loincloth over the goods,
I absolutely do. Because saying somebody was laying there naked, again, is very risque for 1929.
I could see that.
Right?
Not too prior to that, not too far back. I think it was like a woman would show her ankles. It was like exciting.
So here's another time. Peter was fishing along the Fraser when he noticed something moving on the bank. At first, he thought it was a large black bear. Then, as it drew closer, he saw it was a hairy man, stooped over and peering into the water as though looking for fish. Peter called out, and for a moment, the strange being gazed at him. Then, uttering a grunt, it turned and ran off amongst the trees. Peter landed and examined the footprints in the mud, which he declared were of enormous size, with a stride that must have measured nearly fully 6 feet. So again, very similar to the behavior of what we see today. Now, looking for a fish, that could be an anthropomorphization of what it was actually doing. Right. Perhaps it saw its reflection in the water.
Right.
And it was kind of studying that. Or perhaps it was just mesmerized by the ripples in the water. We don't know.
He didn't really, he didn't give any account how it was doing that. He didn't say it was on all fours or squatted down or anything, did he?
No, I'm reading it to you just as it says.
Okay, yeah.
So I have no idea.
Boy, that would have been telling.
I mean, this is almost a 100-year-old account. It is 96 years ago that this account was told.
Right.
Maybe even before, depending on how long it took Burns to write the article.
Yeah.
According to Peter, one of these wild men once visited his home and tore it to pieces in his absence. He says his wife and children, who were alone at the time, saw a huge shape peering in the window. Terrified, they ran out. Later, Peter found the walls partly torn down and the roof badly damaged, with massive footprints in the soil outside. When questioned closely about these wild men, the older Indians sometimes admit having seen them. Occasionally, a white man, too, comes forward with the statement that he has encountered one. Such witnesses are reluctant to talk, fearful of ridicule. Again, another thing that carries on till today.
Yeah.
But these stories accumulate, making it difficult to dismiss them all as mere inventions. Here is one example. Here, for example, is one related to me by an Indian woman named Mary. Okay. I was out in the berry patch one day. Sounds like she's from Kentucky. I was out in the berry patch one day on a hillside. You see, if they were from Kentucky, they'd say a holler.
Yeah.
When I saw what I first took to be a big bear, but presently it stood up, and I saw that it was a giant man covered from head to foot with hair. He looked at me for a few moments without making a sound, and then he walked away into the bush. When I got back to the village and told them what I had seen, the others had said I must have been mistaken, that it was a bear. But I know a bear when I see one. This was no bear. It was a man, only far bigger than any Indian or white man I have ever seen.
Well,
Now, again,
Ron's got a good point here. Ron says we could be looking at more than one origin. Some witnesses describe very ape-like creatures. Example is skunk ape, while others describe a very human-like faces, maybe multiple species.
Here's my theory on that, and it's kind of the same as Dr. Jeff Meldrum's. It's very remarkable for one primate to exist, undiscovered primate in North America to exist, and then there be a second and third and fourth one, depending on. No, primates are very dimorphic. They vary from the features, and again, if you adhere to Bergman's rule too, where it corresponds with some of the features and size of a particular species, same species, in comparison to what their environment is,
right,
that's very possible that they could look. And then again, we have to put that human element into it, and this as a forensic investigator, read The Psychology of Bigfoot. You'll understand this when I say this, is that people will put their own anthropocentric spin on images, and anthropomorphic images spin on images as well.
Yeah, their brain might be trying to put a human face to what they're seeing.
The best they can describe it is as a human, just like back then. Back in the days of old, before Sasquatch became popularized, or Bigfoot, people would call them wild men. Right. Why? Because it walked upright. That was probably, it had two eyes, a nose, a mouth, forward-facing eyes. It had a face, or at least the eye areas and the nose areas devoid of hair, just looking like a hair-covered man. And so does a gorilla. A gorilla or a chimpanzee looks like a hair-covered man, or could be described, except those friggin' ears on a chimp. They got pretty big ears.
Well, anything that's walking on two legs is going to be considered a man.
Right. And that's what it is. Because why is that? Because we are the only species, only primate species that is completely bipedal. Right. The other great apes are quadrupeds, but they transition every once in a while to bipedalism, right?
Yeah.
Whereas what we've heard in the Sasquatch is the opposite. We've heard about them being primarily bipedal, but every once in a while they go into what has been coined as 4x4 mode, where they'll actually, use their arms to drag themselves along a bit. That's been reported in several.
Seems plausible, but I hadn't really experienced that, but that seems plausible.
Right.
You would think with those long arms they would use them.
Right. Martin makes a great point.
No, I know chickens are not humans.
No, I said we're the only bipedal great apes. Because penguins, most birds are bipedal because they only got two legs.
Yeah. But I did have a turkey scare me to death. He really shook me up out there in the woods one time, walking up behind me, behind the tree. And I thought, oh, it's Bigfoot.
I tell you what, I saw a whole flock of turkeys, eating away. Of course, they're all out in the open now because it's not hunting season. They're out there.
Yeah.
They're out there flipping the bird to all the hunters as they drive by. Flipping the bird. A bird flipping the bird, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd been sitting leaned up next to this tree for about 2 hours, and I heard walking behind me, and I thought, uh-oh. So I sat still Didn't peep, didn't breathe. I was holding my breath, man. And sure enough, I was afraid to look around behind the tree. It came walking out right beside of me. It was a turkey.
Well, here's one for you. I remember being out in a Vermont forest, and one of the researchers was looking through a thermal, and all of a sudden I heard it go, "What the hell?" And she goes, "What's all that over there?" And I pull up a thermal and I look, and it's just this big mass of a thermal hit, just one big mass,
Right.
and it was undulating, right? And I'm going, what the hell is it? And then all of a sudden you hear it. Meh. There's a friggin' flock of sheep that were all huddled together.
Yeah.
And in the thermal, they just look like a big blob, like a UFO had landed in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Until we had the loudest bah you've ever heard. Next part is Charlie Victor's story. Good old CV, Charlie.
Oh, yeah. This is a good one. Yeah.
Charlie Victor, a respected Indian of the Chehalis Reserve near Harrison, also insists that he had encountered these hairy men many times in the mountains. They are not animals, he said. They are people, big men. The largest of them are about 8 or 9 feet tall. That's consistent. But they have large chests and big arms, and the hair on their bodies is like that of a bear. They do not speak. See, that's why we're doing this before we're going to tie in the speech episode on Friday.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Here's all these early accounts where they don't speak. Even in Native American legend, they don't speak. Right? They don't speak a language.
Yeah.
Or at least in a language known to them. They may utter some utterances, because chimpanzees have language, so do gorillas, but they're calls. They don't, and we'll get into all the mechanisms that we have that other great apes don't have that allow us to articulate speech. So, but we'll get into that on Friday. So this is a good warm-up for that. They do not speak, but sometimes they make a whistling sound or a noise like an animal call. They are very strong. I've seen one pick up a full-grown deer under each arm and run up a steep slope as easily as if he had no load at all. Usually, they mind their own business and don't molest anyone, but you don't want to get up too close. If they feel cornered or threatened, they can tear a man to pieces. Yet they look so much like human beings that I have sometimes been afraid to shoot when I've seen one. Again, more of the same.
It rings true today. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're telling me that everybody, the first person that said I had one in its sights, but it looked too you in the shoot. Were they aware of this article? I doubt
Likely
it.
not. Yeah.
Likely not. Charlie shoots a Sasquatch boy. I don't know if I should tell you this. Charlie confided in me because the white people don't believe in such things, but I'll tell you anyway. About 10 years ago, so now we're talking 1919, 1918, 1919. So now we're talking about an account that is 110 years old. I think that's friggin' amazing. Right?
Contemporary World War I. Yeah.
About 10 years ago, I was hunting in the mountains when I spotted a small hairy man, not more than 4 feet high, squatting on a rock. I raised my rifle and fired. He let out a shrill cry, leapt up, and ran screaming into the bush. I followed and saw blood on the ground, but never found him. I think he may have died of his wound. Then I was sorry I had shot because I believe it was only a boy. I never fired one of them at one of them since. And then here's another story. My father once told me he came upon the body of one of these wild men that had been killed by a fall or a rock slide. It was lying at the foot of a steep bluff. He examined it carefully and he said it was neither bear nor any kind of ape, but a hairy man. The hair was quite long and already was turning gray. That was the only time he ever saw one dead. My father warned me never to shoot one unless my life was in danger.
Wow.
It's interesting. It says it was not man nor ape. Well, he said that it wasn't any kind of ape, but a hairy man.
Right.
Hard to say. I mean, that seems a little more consistent with Paranthropus than it does either or, which could be the reason why we all think that Paranthropus died off. But in actuality, it's the only one on the primate branch that has died off. Because there's Ardipithecines, there are Australopithecines, which is, the pan-troglodytes. Chimpanzees are descendants of the Australopithecines. The orangutans are an offshoot of the Ardipithecines. The Homo sapiens, well, we're shoot off of the Homo genus. So could it be Sasquatch being a shoot off of Paranthropus? It's looking more, to me, it looks more and more logical than, say, Gigantopithecus, which looked like they say its closest relative was an orangutan, which means that by default, if Bigfoot was a Gigantopithecus, it would have been an Ardipithecine. Think about that. Let that digest for a little bit. Charlie added that among his own people, stories of the Sasquatch were common knowledge, though seldom discussed. We do not like to talk about them, he said, because white men laugh at us and say it is all nonsense, that we are crazy. But I have seen those hairy men many, many times, and I know that other Indians have seen them too. They are real.
Pretty cool.
So what I love about this is reading an article and being able to draw these inferences and these ideas and throwing them out there to our audience.
Right. Well, I've seen the recreation of the Gigantopithecus skull, where they've taken a jawbone and then recreated the whole entire skull. And that looks dead on to me for a male.
We got a couple of good questions here. One from Kaiju Ninja and a comment by Mick. I want to pull up.
Do you think our ancestors were nocturnal? One thing that makes Bigfoot stands out compared to us is they can naturally see in the dark.
Right, exactly. History has shown that we have been, as Homo sapiens and Homo erectus and Homo floresiensis, Homo habilis, all of the Homo genus are diurnal. All the great apes are diurnal. They're daytime. But is it possible that Bigfoot is nocturnal? Or, I also put this out there, crepuscular. And what a crepuscular creature is, it roams from dawn to dusk.
Right.
Dawn to dusk. Or I'm sorry, dusk to dawn, rather. So it starts mingling about 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it goes till about 10 or 11 in the morning. Another example of a crepuscular animal would be a bobcat, right? Another, because you'll see them in the mornings, you'll see them in very early mornings, and you'll see other animals like deer in very early mornings. They're not nocturnal, but they're not diurnal either. They're what they call crepuscular.
Well, humans have a little bit of night vision. Now, I'm not saying they can see like a bobcat at night, no, or a something that can see in the dark. But once humans get accustomed to the light situation in the woods, you can see pretty good, especially if there's a little moonlight. You can see pretty good. But and the second somebody turns on a flashlight, you're blind. You're blind as a bat for a little while.
So here's a good analogy. There's a reason why some people have bad night vision. And that's because they have an eye malfunction, because our body produces an enzyme in our eyes called rhodopsin. So if somebody's got a bad night vision problem, it's because their eyes don't produce enough rhodopsin, which allows those eyes to see better at night in clarity. And rhodopsin is least affected by red light. That's why we wear red headlamps in the forest and such. And at the same time, the next light up the spectrum that's easier is green and then blue. but amber and white light completely wipes out the rhodopsin and, you know, stores in one's eyes because it uses those, burns them up.
Yeah, and if you're going to be out in the woods at night,
Now,
make sure you take a big dose of vitamin A.
Right. Now, what I can see, yeah, and lay off the coffee. That's known as vitamin P. Anyway, the one thing I can say, and I've seen this with my own eyes, is does Bigfoot or Sasquatch have a tapetum lucidum? I say yes, completely it does. I've observed one for 45 seconds with a flashlight aimed at it, and there's the eye shine coming right back at me. The damn thing's blinking and everything. I also have a couple of pictures of one from a profile view. A shadow with just, you see this one friggin' tapetum lucidum eye because it was walking with a profile like this. So it only caught one eye.
Right.
Right.
They definitely have an eye shine.
And that, believe it or not, that is going to be a bonus in one of my books. I left an Easter egg in one of my books.
My son, Jared, has an eye shine, but that's only because he had surgery done and had lenses implanted in his cornea. But he has an eye shine.
Well, that's not technically an eye shine. That's reflectivity.
Yeah, it's not natural.
Right. So it doesn't increase. See, the mechanism that causes eye shine is a tapetum lucidum, which gives that being the ability to see better and absorb more natural light into its eyes. So dark looks much brighter. When, even though your son has had the eye surgery, that does not give him better night vision. It's just the reflectivity off regular light into his eyes that causes that.
So, those lenses catch the light.
Right. Yep. So the effect may be the same, but the factor or the mechanism causing that reflection is totally separate.
Right. Yeah. Humans don't do that naturally. Yeah. But Mick says, yeah, it seems to me that only after white men discovered Sasquatch did we start hearing about Sasquatch languages, mind, speech, infrasound.
Well, hold on, time. Now let's take that apart. Put that back up there a second. Let's put that back up there. So Sasquatch languages and mind speech, completely agree, but it's not when white men started saying it. It's when social media started that it really started taking off. Now, infrasound is something that was discovered not until many, many later years in the 50s and 60s, and it was really developed in the 70s. And let's face it, every mammal out there, the large mammals in each species, the whale, the cats, the dog, the canines, have the ability, the elephants have the ability to use infrasound. So it makes sense that, you have the, lupus wolf, their deep growls, the big gray wolf can emit infrasound. The Bengal tiger, biggest cat in the world, natural cat, not talking about these hybrid ones that some crazy zoo and we saw on Tiger King. Yeah, that guy, Doc. Yeah, not that. But the most natural existing is the Bengal tiger, can emit infrasound.
Right.
The elephant, which I forget, I don't know the genus of that particular animal off the top of my head. But they are related to the rhinoceros and other animals as well. They can emit infrasound.
Well, I don't know what,
and I don't disagree with you with that statement, Nick. That he says now that I think maybe it's more an advent of the internet rather than social media. I will concede that you're probably right. Well, yeah. I'm stuck in a social media mindset lately. That a lot of this, but yeah, it was started mainly because of the internet, and somebody said something crazy, Eric Beckford, and then it just got or Kawani lapsaritis, aka James lapsaritis.
Well, Sasquatch languages, I don't know. Mind speech, I don't know. But infrasound, I don't know if you call it infrasound, but they can definitely do something to you. They can do a.
And if you think about, we've heard a lot in the descriptions of their roars, this deep basal tone,
Yeah.
the vibrating in the chest, very close to infrasound. So, not saying it's a positive thing, but to me, it seems a little bit likely. So, that's not wild stuff. That's just science. This mind speak stuff and the other stuff, the portal jumping, shape shifting. Some of the shape shifting may be transferred from some Native American cultures, or it might even be part of somebody reading the Native American cultures and integrating that into their beliefs, then putting it out onto the internet and social media, and then next thing you know, somebody that may be a little bit looking or as confirmation bias may go out into the woods and go, "Oh yeah, I did that. I heard, yeah." And then you have basically what's what I'm looking for, group hysteria almost, where you get these groups of people that are all confirming their own beliefs, and they make their beliefs seem really strong, and then they convert some more people, and that's how that starts. Is the only science, but the only thing that these people have that believe in that stuff is themselves to placate their own cognitive biases.
Angel Nolan says, well, he was talking to Kaiju Ninja, but to go back far, our ancestors did not have electric lights. They had candles, kerosene lanterns. They probably had better night vision than we do.
No, not true.
I think so.
No. Here's the reason why. Our bodies have always produced the same amount of rhodopsin. It doesn't matter the amount of light. You may have, if you're getting bright light shown in your face, even if it's a candle, it's gonna burn up your rhodopsin. Look at a campfire and then look around, right? It's dark, it's black, and then after a while you start to see things, right? That's not something we lose. It's not. That is a biological feature of us, not something that.
I don't know. You get somebody that used to walk.
You do not learn or unlearn night vision. You don't.
I don't know about that.
It's Chris. It's science. It's science. Yeah. It's science. And unless you can produce somebody that's 250 years old, right? They tell us their night vision was better than ours today.
What I'm talking about is you take somebody that's used to walking around in the dark every day, or every night rather. They're not walking around in the dark during the day, but somebody that's used to walking around in the dark at night every night, they're going to be much better at it than you. Guarantee they're going to be better at it than you.
Because they may be familiar with the area.
Well, I don't know.
I'll give you a great example. Rhodopsin levels vary in people.
Okay.
I'll give you a great example. I was in the Honey Island swamp.
All right.
And this guy that lived down there, I'll take you around there. And we're going around. He got us lost. We couldn't see anything. And I'm over there. No, it's this way. There's that tree right there over there.
Right. There are people that have no night vision whatsoever. Yeah. I agree with you.
So, and again, like I told you, there are people that have enzyme problems who have trouble driving at night. Those are the same people that's why it may seem. Or sometimes people's eyes can be affected by light. In other words, as they get older, their amount to recharge the rhodopsin levels in their eyes, which is relatively quick.
Yeah. Truth or tinfoil, welcome.
Hey.
See ya.
What was I saying? There are, as far as, that's the reason why people have trouble driving at night. And conversely, there are people, that may have their rhodopsin levels may be compromised due to an immune system deficiency or age. So once they lose that night vision, it takes them a lot longer to hone in on things.
Well, my grandfather on my mom's side had really great night vision. really great. And I don't think I inherited from him, but mine's not bad. It could be worse. But I'm comfortable walking around out of the woods without a flashlight. Now, in the summertime, when there's snakes, I might be kind of paranoid because I don't like snakes.
All right, we got time for one more question. Let's take Kaiju's question. And
let's see. This one here? This one?
Yeah. The one where Mick suggests that if we're looking for a 200 to a 250-year-old witness to contact Elon Musk, because he has found that on the Social Security rolls. Which actually that's pretty funny.
So Kaiju Ninja says, Steve and Chris, what are your thoughts on the reported eye glow? I don't mean eye shine, but reported lit eyeballs and different colors that people report seeing a Bigfoot with Bigfoot at night. So you talking about the light? Some people say.
Well, in other words, bioluminescence.
Yeah.
Well, no vertebrate can bioluminesce. We do not have the metabolism for a bioluminescence. We do not have the chemicals or the chemistry in our eyes to bioluminesce. Neither do great apes. Great apes and primates do not have the metabolism to do that. Neither do bears. Neither do any animal. Any mammals have the metabolism to do that. Furthermore, it is no difference. A lot of times people can say, that they eye glow or whatever, that, well, it seemed to project. Well,
right.
Yes. You know what? Have you ever seen the size of a Sasquatch eyes? I have, and they're pretty flippin' big. And they almost look like they're projecting, but it's really a tapetum. And the reason why I knew, because it was blinking. The other thing, too, is the colors. And we've talked about this in the past. Depends on several factors: relative humidity, angle of refraction, and of course the type of light you're being used. So sometimes an LED can emit a blue or a greenish eye shine. Amber lights used to traditionally give red eye shine, or amber or orange eye shine. So there are many. You use krypton bulbs, a little bit more of the amberish, orangish. So different types of bulbs will create different eye shine, and there's a lot of characterizations. Remember, all eye shine is a refraction of light coming back at you from the primary colors, just like a rainbow. A rainbow is basically eye shine from the sunbeam hitting the raindrops. So it all has to do with a very similar type of process. So it depends on a number of factors what color you may see coming from the eyes.
And as far as the eyeball emitting light, okay, from a biological standpoint, that would be impossible, because if it emitted light, then that light would overwhelm the optic nerve. So all it would be seeing is the light that it emitted. So biologically, that's pretty much impossible unless it's walking around blinding itself. And,
coming at Just Steve, he says, why don't you show likes on this channel? This is the only channel that does not. Why? Because being who I am, I get attacked by trolls all the time. So we don't show our likes or dislikes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that removes the incentive for dislikes.
Well, no, not really.
Think if they click the dislike, they can't see it. That's funny, man. But yeah, I do that on some of my videos too. I disable the likes and dislikes. You can click it, but you can't use the little thing to see how many likes it has and how many dislikes it has.
And Mick just made a good point too. Bioluminescent eyes on a grade 8 would be self-blinding, and that is true too.
Yeah, that's the biological factor.
Right. We don't have the biological mechanisms in a primate eye to,
No.
or even a mammalian eye to do that.
Even if we were like a deep sea fish, we would probably develop something sticking out of our head with a light out here to attract other fish so we could eat it. But we wouldn't be necessarily doing it with our eyeballs. Yeah, you would. The light would overpower the optic nerve, and whatever light we're detecting is always.
And speaking of likes, I just think the whole like thing, we ask for them because it allegedly helps with the algorithm, but I think it's just pedantic. I don't think it means really much to me. I couldn't tell you how many likes I got on the last program or whatever, or dislikes for that matter. We don't pay attention to them.
We got to go by what they say. You know, I don't know if they're going to lie to us or not, but YouTube says if you get more likes, they'll promote the video with the algorithm.
Right.
Now, is that true? I don't know.
I want people to focus on the content.
Yeah.
Not how many likes the video has gotten. And too many of these trolls will turn around and say, well, you only got almost 8,000 subscribers, but MK Davis has got 25,000. Oh. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm sure the grand wizard of what organization probably has more followers than MK Davis.
We have the highest quality of subscribers and the highest quality audience that anybody could ever ask for. And that's what means that's what it means to me. Quality, not quantity.
Right.
You guys are great. You know it. And we know it. And I just hope you know that we know it. Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you. It means a lot.
Yep. So
they're hanging out.
Well, anyway, it is time to wrap up the show. I just will say the last section talks about the wild man at Agassiz. And it talks about looking up to see a creature standing perhaps 100 yards away, tall, broad, covered in hair. It vanished in the timber at incredible speed. Another man heard a series of piercing cries. We thought it might be a cougar. When he went to investigate, found enormous footprints in the muddy bank, clearly human in shape, but far larger than any normal foot. So all very traditional stuff. Now, where can you find this article written out in plain prose? Go over to squatchdetective.com, and don't worry, you may get a warning from some of these crazy browsers that say, oh, it may try to be stealing your information. No, it's not. No. I have no idea what the kick on that is. That has something to do with my
it's something to do with the security page or something update or something. Don't worry about it.
But anyway, don't worry about it. But you can find that if you go to the blog. This whole article is here. You can print it off. I have it in PDF form on the site, as well as an article about what we discussed tonight. What do you say?
Grasshopper says, I'm self-blinding for other reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys.
Yeah. Nick said Jim Jones had a lot of followers, but I wouldn't drink his Kool-Aid. Better to bet on the meatloaf. Yeah, a few days of sickness beats an eternity of But anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in tonight. We'll be back Friday. We're going to pick up our discussion about Sasquatch language. Check it out. We'll see you all Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Chris, do your thing.
We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. If we got anybody new that come in there tonight, if you hadn't hit the subscribe button, please do join us and smash the like button, because they tell us it's supposed to help. I don't know. But, we appreciate you guys. If you could do that. And if you hadn't subscribed already, please do. That would just make our days. I always say it because I always mean it. We know we've got the greatest audience out there that we could ever hope to have. Thank you so much for joining us. And you guys listening on the podcast, make sure you check out the YouTube channel at youtube.com/@SquatchDTV and check out some of the videos.
And boys and girls, we all we love you guys. We're glad you were here tonight on a Wednesday night. We will be back here Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Squatch-D TV. Until then, everybody be safe, and God bless. And of course, keep on squatching. We'll see you all Friday night, folks.
We thank you for being here with us on Squatch-D TV. If you haven't taken the time yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And oh yes, hit that notification bell too. We don't want you to miss anything. If you really like our content, you should consider becoming a member, and it's really inexpensive and a great way to support not only the show, but honest Bigfoot research. Everyone have a great week. Be safe and God bless. We will see you all here next time on Squatch-D TV. Keep on squatching.